One, while we acknowledge that the Supreme Court is the highest court and final court of the land, the Supreme Court in itself is not fallible. Therefore, it is capable of making mistakes. Two, that His Excellency Sir Dr. Siminala Ifobara, GSSROS, is and remains the elected executive governor of Rivers State, elected to deliver good governance, infrastructure, and security. He is in a position to implement the Supreme Court judgment, especially as it concerns one, resumption of a full 32 members Rivers State House of Assembly and representation of the annual budget appropriation bill. The implementation of this judgment by the governor has commenced, as we all know. One, by dissolving the 23 local government councils. Two, fixing a local government council election date for Saturday, August 9, 2025. Three, one unsuccessful attempt to represent the 2025 appropriation bill by the governor, which the House of Assembly vehemently refused. And finally, His Excellency has scheduled Wednesday, the 19th day of March 2025 to represent the 2025 appropriation bill. All these steps are commendable, and they are steps he has taken towards implementing the Supreme Court judgment, which is the focus of the day. This attempt by the governor to quickly and timely implement the Supreme Court judgment is commendable, even though as a party, the People's Democratic Party Rivers State chapter, we disagree with the entirety of the judgment. The governor will have urged him to implement. We disagree, and we will abuse our reasons. One, the Nigerian nation is a federation with three federating units: the federal, state, and local government system. The local government system is the third tier of government with autonomy, and therefore cannot be locked in a dispute between two arms of government at the state level, the executive and the legislature. The local government is not part of the state. It's the third tier of government with autonomy. Therefore, a dispute between two arms of government at the state level shouldn't have in any way affected them. But the Supreme Court, as we all know, went ahead to give ruling that the local government be dissolved. Again, our governor, in his peaceful manner, has taken step and he has implemented that aspect of the judgment. The order is here. He has implemented that of the local government. Two, election into local government system is strictly conducted under local government law. In this case, Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law and local government law, and not by Electoral Act. Again, the Supreme Court went ahead to dissolve the local government election based on substantial non-compliance, according to them, by the 2022 Electoral Act. The 2022 Electoral Act is not supposed to guide our local government law. What our research should comply with is research law and not Electoral Act. And because the Supreme Court has based its judgment on the Electoral Act, non-compliance with the Electoral Act, as a party, we disagree with that aspect of the judgment. But again, because the court is supreme, we have ordered our governor to implement. You have already seen the level of implementation as far as local government election is concerned. Third, electoral issues are resolved by election tribunals and not the regular court. And it's only parties, political parties, that participate in an election that have the local standard to commence action against an election. In this instant case, the All Progressive Congress APC did not participate in the local government election. Therefore, they have no local standard to commence action against the local government election. Again, the Supreme Court went ahead to give judgment. The Supreme Court, the Justice Omotosho court that adjudicated on that particular matter was not an election tribunal. It has no jurisdiction over election matter in Rivers State. And because the Supreme Court has based their ruling again on this, we completely disagree. Going further, the Supreme Court went ahead to order seizure of Rivers State Federation allocation share. Dispute between agencies of a state are settled by a state high court and not a federal high court. The federal high court do not have general jurisdiction over every issue. If there is a dispute between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature of a state, the state high court have jurisdiction to handle that matter. But again, the Supreme Court went ahead to affirm the ruling of a federal high court, which again, as a party, we completely disagree. But then we have no option because the court is free, and we have urged our governor to obey, which the governor has already obeyed. On the status of Martins Amewule and the 26 other lawmakers, the Supreme Court said they have not defected. But as a party, we have recourse of their defection all over the place. One, there's an affidavit before an Abuja High Court to the fact that they have defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. Martins Amewule, the speaker then, also read their defection letter on the floor of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Chief Dodo Kocha, the then All Progressive People's Congress APC party chairman, acting chairman, acknowledged and welcomed them in an event at Polo Club. Even if they deny, and even if the Supreme Court affirmed that they are members of the State House of Assembly, we as a party, the People's Democratic Party, we know that they are no longer members of our party, and there is no way they can be members of our party. And going by the Supreme Court ruling, they are under the law to obey. Obedience to the law is not just one party. The Supreme Court in this case has given them both the things they asked for and both the things they did not ask for. Because one, the issue before Omotosho was representation of 2025 appropriation bill. But the Supreme Court has gone ahead to seize the state allocation, to affirm them as lawmakers, to affirm that they did not defect. All these issues were not before the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court has now become Father Christmas, giving them even the things they did not ask for. Agreed. They are now under the law to obey and implement the Supreme Court ruling. One, the Supreme Court mandate that they sit as a complete House of 32 members. The governor has allowed them, they have sat. It is mandatory on them now to receive the representation of the 2025 appropriation bill. The question now is, where are they now dodging the acceptance of the document? Why? The Supreme Court says, Governor, represent the budget to the House on one part. House, accept the budget from the governor on the other part. The governor has fulfilled his own obligation. What is stopping the House from fulfilling their own aspect of the bargain? There's a huge question mark there, which only Martins Amewule and co are in a position to answer. Second, Supreme Court mandate that you sit. If you sit as a House, you are elected to make laws for good governance. work together with the other arms of government, which includes the executive and the judiciary. In this case, the governor convened a meeting. The House, led by Martin Samehule, have also refused to attend a meeting called by an elected governor of a state. This again is in disobedience of the Supreme Court order. As to the question of impeachment, if you look at the Supreme Court judgment, it's over 60 pages with the orders. There is nowhere the Supreme Court says go and impeach or serve the governor and his deputy impeachment notice. Such order is not in the entire over 60-page Supreme Court judgment. The question is, why impeachment at this stage? For whose interest? Is it for the interest of Rivers people, for the interest of Martin Samehule, or for the interest of Nigerians? That is the basic question we have to ask ourselves. Supreme Court says, go and implement the judgment. The governor has commenced. He has dissolved local government council. He has set a new date for local government election. He has attempted once, he has taken another date to represent the 2025 appropriation bill. These are steps taken by the governor in compliance with the High Court, Supreme Court ruling. Which one has Madness and Co. done? First, ultimatum, represent budget within 48 hours. The governor came to walk out the government. Is that obedience to the law? The answer is no. Second, the governor invited you for a meeting so that you can sort out the issues of governance within the state. You refuse to attend. What does that represent? Disobedience to the Supreme Court judgment. The governor wrote you, look, please, I'm coming to represent the 2025 budget. Instead of you to sit as a house to receive the budget, you lock out the governor and deny him access to present the budget. Again, that is disobedience by the Martin Samehule-led House to the Supreme Court ruling. The question now leaves us with, what does Martin Samehule and Co. want? What do they want? By going to court, we must explore avenues for peace. Now the court has given us windows of peace. They are rejecting peace. What do they actually want is the question. Is it that they want the head of John the Baptist, which is the head of Seminara Ifubara? It is simply not available. Is it that they want to overthrow Seminara Ifubara as an elected governor of the state through the back door? It's also not possible. It's also not possible because Nigeria is guided by rule of law, and the rule of law must prevail. So Martin Samehule should come out, play, and inform Nigerians, inform Rivers people exactly what they want. If they want the head of John the Baptist, they should tell us. If they want total control of the resources of the state, they should say it, so that the governor in his wisdom can avail them everything and more of the things they did not also ask for. Just like the Supreme Court gave them everything, including the issues not canvassed before the court. To our former governor, Chief Barrister Ezewonye Sowike, current FCT minister, we will appeal to him as a party, as a people, to simply allow peace reign in Rivers State. He should allow cooperation between arms of government. He was here as a governor, and he enjoyed cooperation, good working relationship between the three arms of government. So he should simply allow that to happen in this state. To Rivers people, we should continue to maintain the peace we are maintaining. We appeal to them to have faith, have confidence in the government and governance of Sim Fubara. Sim Fubara has simply come to deliver on the dividends of democracy, deliver on infrastructure, ensure that there is security for all citizens and those who live in Rivers State. To criminalize Ifomora himself, we will call on him as a party to continue to make effort to ensure that he implements the Supreme Court ruling to the letter. We applaud him, we commend him for all the steps he's taking. We encourage him to continue to do so. To our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we want to appeal to him that the war against Rivers State is a war against the state by the state. What do you mean by that? The federal government is fighting Rivers State. We have enough war in the country. If you go to the northeast, there is enough war there. You go to the northwest, there is enough war. You come to southwest, southeast, there is enough war. Please, the president should simply allow peace in Rivers State. We should continue to enjoy peace in Rivers State. He should advise his appointees, ministers, etc., to stop weaponizing federal agencies like the police, the army, the navy, etc., including the judiciary, because his appointees today have weaponized federal agencies, including the judiciary. The president should simply put a stop to that. Finally, just like Trump did in the United States, when the United Supreme Court gave ruling that TikTok should be banned in the United States, Trump intervened. And today, despite the Supreme Court judgment, TikTok is still operating in the United States. So we are calling on President Bola Tinubu that despite the Supreme Court ruling, he should use his presidential power and privileges and rights to ensure that allocations are released to Rivers State. This is simply our call to the president. Stop weaponizing the federal agencies, including the judiciary, and ensure that Rivers State allocation is not seized. Because if the allocation is seized, it simply means a call to anarchy. You deny people livelihood. What will that amount to? Anarchy. We don't want another northwest or northeast in Rivers State. The trouble we have in other parts of the country is enough for him to contend with. Rivers State is peaceful. He should allow the peace we are enjoying here to continue. This is our call on the president. Thank you and God bless you.
This is exactly, I think, 1 month now. Say why today. Second,
to look at the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment to the letter. Because most of the challenges we have in the society today is people throw things into the public without actually getting the real information. At this stage, that the Supreme Court erred in law, even if I'm not a lawyer, we are citizens. That is why it took us so long to speak. And today what we speak represents the truth. 2, the FCT minister is in the cabinet of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you know, naturally, there's no way any man can serve 2 gods, quote and unquote. Even the Bible says it. You will satisfy one, you won't satisfy the other one. Because Yesowike is serving in the government of Ahmed Tinubu, there is no way his loyalty will be in PDP anymore. His loyalty 100% is in APC. What constitutes an anti-party activity? If you take actions that brings the party to disrepute, it's anti-party activity. The FCT minister has taken several actions that has brought the party to disrepute. That amounts to anti-party activity. So when the party will take action at the appropriate time. You know, we have layers, we have organs of the party. We have the NEC, we have the NWC, at the state we have the state executive committee, we have state working committee. This trickles down to the world. And you know the challenge we can create for us in this state as a party. Today that we have properly taken over the party, proper action will be taken against Yesowike for anti-party activities, including suspending him where necessary or expelling him from the party. if it is necessary. The party will do that under my watch list date.
As a recall.
Who?
A recall.
Recall.
Yeah.
No. Yes, so we is not legislature. We only recall legislatures. We will expel it from the party or suspend it, depending on the gravity of the offense.
Of a house not being properly constituted, in line with the.
Okay, thank you. The quorum is to third. To third of 32, I think it's about 10 or so. I think it's about that to third. No, 1/3. It's not to third, it's 1/3. 1/3, not to third. 1/3. So what the House need to sit is 1/3. Once they are 10, 11 or 12, they can sit. But in money bills, issues of impeachment, they need to talk. So, because the Supreme Court said the House should sit, that is order what here? I think it's order 2 or 3. We believe that the House is properly constituted. And once they form quorum of 1/3, they can go ahead to sit. We are not opposed to that. That's a constitutional matter. But our position as a party, which you all know, even you as a journalist, even the layman in the street of Port Harcourt, knows that Martin Samehule and co defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. We all know, including you. He announced it in the Hollow Chamber. He deposed affidavit in an Abuja High Court. That is why I told you when I started, when after going through the Supreme Court, that the final court, they have the final say, but they are not infallible. They are capable of making mistakes. Between you and I, we know that Supreme Court made mistake to tell us that Martin Samehule and co did not defect. We know. But what do we do as citizens? We simply have to obey. Even if we know that they are telling lies, which is not supposed to be so. So to we as a party, the People's Democratic Party, Martin Samehule and 26 other lawmakers are not members of our party. If they are members of our party, Supreme Court has ordered you, go and receive budget. What are they doing? To your own governor, elected on the same platform. Will they be doing this if they are members of our party? They are not the members of our party. Their allegiance, their loyalty is to APC. Even the president in the 8-point agenda of his peace accord acknowledged that they had defected to the All Progressive Congress. The president acknowledged. So it's not about what the Supreme Court says. We have obeyed, we are obeying. But between you and I and God that created us, we know that the people are no longer members of the People's Democratic Party. They can no longer work for our party, for the section of our party in any election. Their loyalty as we speak is to All Progressive Congress. If election comes now, they can't pick our party ticket. We can't give them. We cannot. They will go and pick APC ticket. Let's leave all the shenanigans we are seeing. This is because the country is corrupt. Judiciary is corrupt. Legislature is corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. That is why we are seeing all this. Otherwise, how can somebody, a speaker that announced on the hallowed chamber floor of the House, we have defected for XYZ reason, turn around the next day to say we did not defect? And the Supreme Court says they need evidence of what? These are practical things we see. So they are not members of our party, gentlemen.